Good morning, good morning. Time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. At this time, I'll ask all personnel to exit the chamber. I recognize the senator from the 28th. Speak to the journal.
Good morning, Mr. President. I want to wish you a happy National Beer Can Appreciation Day. And I think it's that day because on this day in 1935, the first canned beer was sold by American company Kruger Brewing Company. And in 1939, Ray Stevens was born in Albany, Georgia, and he won a Grammy in 1970 for singing
Everything is beautiful.
Except our voices. So, and it's National Peanut Butter Day. We got a great lineup of pages today, Mr. President, all coming out of Creekside Christian Academy in Hampton, Georgia. I think the school is empty today because they're all here. We have Mackenzie Black. We have Gabriel Bridgman, Joshua Capps, Arthur Duke, Kiara Jackson Ware, Blessing Quazima, Miles Lacey, and Aiden White. Y'all give our pages a big round of applause. Appreciate y'all being here. Look forward to working with you today. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator. Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and references of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 373 by Senators Walker of the 20th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 4310A13 of the OCGA relating to requirements for relicensure in marriage and family therapy.
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 374 by Senator Walker of the 20th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 15 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 375 by Senator Strickland of the 17th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 3724 of the OCGA relating to Behavioral Health Coordinating Council membership meetings.
Homeland Security.
Senate Bill 376 by Senators Tillery of the 19th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 15 of the OCGA relating to the Juvenile Code so as to clarify requirements of parents, DFCS, and court in
Children
order.
and family.
Senate Bill 377 by Senators Tillery of the 19th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Titles 15 and 49 of the OCGA relating to the courts and social services
Health.
respectively. Senate Bill 378 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16546 of the OCGA relating to trafficking of persons.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 379 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 22182 of the OCGA relating to program weights to reflect.
Education and youth.
Senate Bill 380 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 33711 of the OCGA relating to uninsured motorist coverage.
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 381 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 50 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding state government so as to provide with certain state offices.
Government oversight.
Senate Bill 382 by Senator Gooch of the 51st, a bill to be entitled an act to create a Board of Elections and Registration for Gilmore County to provide for related matters, to provide for an effective date, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes.
State and local government.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary will read report of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Children and Family has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that Senate Bill 342 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 306 do pass by substitute, Senate Bill 208 do pass, Senate Resolution 189 do pass, Senate Bill 147 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Ethics has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that Senate Bill 355 do pass and Senate Bill 358 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brass of the 23rd, Burns of the 23rd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 498 do pass and Senate Bill 354 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Resolution 465 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Bass of the 28th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary will read bills and resolutions for the second time.
Senate Bill 337 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others. Georgia Colonel, appointment honorary title for life, authorize the governor. Senate Bill 348 by Senator Williams of the 25th and others. Notification of suspicious or unusual deaths. Individual had not been seen by a physician prior to death. Revise the period. Senate Bill 353 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th and others. Highways, bridges, and ferries. Duties when death results from an accident upon a highway in certain instances allow for delegation. Senate Bill 359 by Senator Albers of the 56th and others. Protecting Georgians Act enact. Senate Resolution 352 by Senator Halpern of the 39th and others. Atlantic Public Schools commend. Senate Resolution 443 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others. State Election Board appoint Rick Jeffries. House Bill 30 by Representative Carson of the 46th and others. State government definition of anti-Semitism provide. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? I recognize the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, y'all. I'm back. Unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 34th, 38th, 35, and 42, and 26. Did I miss anybody?
All right, let me run those back real quick. So 34, 38, 35, 42, and 26. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
All right.
Thank you.
Without objection, the senators be excused. Recognize the senator from the 50th.
President, I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 29th for business outside the chamber.
Without objection, senator from the 29th is excused. Senator from the 6th.
Good morning, Mr. President. I need unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 7th and the 5th.
Without objection, senator from the 7th and the 5th will be excused. Recognize the senator from the 50th. You waive, senator? You're okay. Any other motions to excuse? Secretary will call the roll, senators. Please signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary, unlock the machine. It is now time for the morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I would ask that the doorkeeper secure the chamber at this time. I know that everybody's excited, but need to settle down a little bit. It's time for the devotion of the day here. So glad to recognize again the senator from the 6th has the pastor of the day today. So I'm glad he's got so many pastors working for him here. Recognize the senator from the 6th to lead us in our pledge and introduce our pastor of the day. Senator.
Good morning, colleagues. I need as many blessings as I can get. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Georgia flag. Pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. Colleagues, it is my pleasure this morning to introduce to you the Reverend Daniel Ogle, who is a pastor of Westside Table, a church that is in my neighborhood in Northwest Atlanta. And it is a campus of Peachtree Road United Methodist Church, which serves the Bolton, Riverside, and surrounding communities in Northwest Atlanta in Georgia's State District 6. Daniel is a graduate of Wake Forest University and Emory University's Candler School of Theology. He's a native of Sevierville, Tennessee, and is married to Erin Horeni Ogle, who is a managing senior director of development at Emory University. Daniel and Erin are proud parents of Georgia, who's a first grade student at Bolton Academy, which is where my kid attends. Most importantly, when Daniel and I spoke about him coming to this chamber, he warned me that he was the least impressive of his marriage. And I said, don't worry, that's most of us in this chamber. With that, please welcome Daniel Ogle.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Estevez and President Jones. It's an honor to be here. Before I begin this morning, I want to thank Senator Estevez for the invitation. He's a dear friend, and he and his wife, Ariel, are just tireless supporters and transformational leaders in our community. And the story of our neighborhood can't be told without their family. I feel like I couldn't say no to him this morning because every time I ask them for something, the answer is yes. There's a moment in the Gospels, maybe you remember it, when Jesus takes Peter out fishing. And you might know the story. You might remember that Peter had been fishing all night the night before, and like usually happens when I go fishing, he hadn't caught anything. And he was on his way in. He had probably already been figuring out how many fish he had to catch the next day to break even. And Jesus said, well, hey, Peter, let's go fish some more. And Peter didn't want to go. He was tired. He was frustrated. He had a long day and nothing had gone his way. Some of you might be able to relate to that after some of the long days you pull here. But Jesus tells Peter, just try it. Let's go out and see if you catch anything. And he caught more than he could imagine. He went from worrying if he was going to make it to realizing that he had caught so much that he was about to be richer than he had ever been in his life. And here's what I think this means for us this morning. The power in that moment is that Jesus takes Peter to the place where he can find what he most desperately needs. And I know for so many of you, that's why you're here today. That's why you got into public service, to help people find what they need. You answered the call to use your gifts and your talents and your abilities and your wisdom to help people live better lives and to help them find what it is they truly need to move forward in life. And so that's really what I came to share to you this morning. And I hope that's what you leave with today, that what you have the opportunity to do here today and this morning is in the midst of everything you have to deal with, in the midst of all the challenges, in the midst of all the politics, in the midst of all the concerns, that you're here to help all of us maybe get a little bit more of what we most desperately need. You know, the best part of my week is when I take my 7-year-old daughter to school at Bolton Academy in the morning. You heard earlier that her name is Georgia, but she would want me to tell you that she's a Vols fan. We don't have to comment about that. But when we go to school, we do the drop-off dance. There's the fist bump, and there's one of these, and there's even a heart hug and a jump hug. And with this message, love you, proud of you, believe in you, have a great day. And so as you begin today, I hope you'll remember this, that you got people that love you in your life. I hope that you remember that you come from a community that's proud of you. I hope you'll remember that you have a host of people who believe in you. And sometimes it's easier to remember the emails that say the opposite, I know. And I hope that you'll have a great day as you do the people's work and you lead all of us to a place where we can find what we truly need. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And if you'd stand, it'd be my honor to pray for you. Gracious God, we give you thanks for today. I give you thanks for each person here, for the families they represent, the people they care about. God, I pray today that everyone in here would know how deeply you love them, and that you would give them wisdom and courage and faith and strength and hope as they do your work today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much.
It is always a pleasure. Come on up, Senator, to recognize our physicians, the doctor of the day. And I'll call on a good senator from the 22nd District to introduce our doctor of the day.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Dale Peoples is an associate professor at the Medical College of Georgia at the Augusta State University, MCG, where he serves as the training director of the Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and the assistant training director of the Post-Pediatric Portal Program. He's a graduate of the University of South Carolina School of Medicine. He has worked extensively in juvenile justice, providing child psychiatric care. He's active in supporting MCG medical students across all regional campuses, serving as a career advisor and the chair of the class of the 2025 Student Promotions Committee. He is very active with the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. His areas of research and publication include media issues, graduate medical education, and adoption and foster care. Welcome, Dr. Peoples.
All right.
Thank you, Senator Jones, and thank you all for having us. We're really eager to have this opportunity to serve, and we wanted to thank you for your support of children's mental health in the state of Georgia and the Medical College of Georgia's mission to provide those services. I also have with me Dr. McCullough, who is one of our post-pediatric portals, and that's a program where pediatric residents then go on to learn child psychiatry and general psychiatry, so they're able to offer integrated services to kids in Georgia. And really, it takes that work with primary care to get everyone's needs met. So we thank you for your support.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Recognize the senator from the 32nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow senators, today is Mental Health Day at the Capitol. I would be surprised if there's anyone in here who hasn't seen the impact of mental illness on somebody in your circle. Our first responders and veterans are at especially high risk, along with many other Georgians. Our First Lady, Marty Kemp, recently highlighted the 988 suicide hotline in a video, and DBHDD has done a great job rolling out this resource, and now it's a matter of getting the word out and also making sure that Georgia has resources for those seeking help. I hope that you'll use your platform as leaders to help increase awareness of the 988 hotline and to participate in the activities of Mental Health Day at the Capitol today. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator, and greatly appreciate those kind words and all the good work you're doing in the mental health space right there. It is something we're going to continue to work on, and with your great leadership, we are going to hopefully have some meaningful things that we'll be able to accomplish this session. So thank you, Senator, for that. I recognize the senator from the 24th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm come to the well today with heavy hearts. Back in Columbia County, we lost one of our great leaders yesterday afternoon. He was a former chairman of county commissioners. He was currently the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Committee, Mr. Al Dempsey. Mr. Al Dempsey lived in Columbia County his whole life, and he gave back to Columbia County. He came at the right time to help us get the right vision for where Columbia County should be. The gentleman will deeply be missed, and Mr. President, I ask for a moment of silence.
Please stand for a moment of silence for the senator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. He was a good man. I'm sorry to hear that news today, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 29th for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've noticed a lot of people in the Capitol today have been enamored by my pink tie and how beautiful it is. And so I want to talk to you for a minute about health care. Many times in this chamber, we spend a lot of hard-fought discussion over health care in rural Georgia, urban Georgia. We talk about mental health. We talk about heart health and all the other kinds. But one kind of health that should always be in any conversation we have is our oral health, our dental health. Not only does it help with self-esteem, but it helps with our cardiac health. It helps with our full body health. I'm a huge advocate of oral health and dental health for more than just the reason that I know that it keeps my overall health where it needs to be, but also because my father-in-law is a dentist and has been a part of this association for 50 years. He's fighting his own fight right now with his health, but I promise you it's not because he doesn't take care of his teeth. So join me today in welcoming the Georgia Dental Association. It's thousands of dentists around the state of Georgia who we represent in our districts, but who also play an important role in keeping Georgia healthy. Please, they're in the gallery. If you would, join me in welcoming the Georgia Dental Association to the Capitol. Thank you, Mr. President. Now everybody go get your teeth cleaned.
Recognize the senator from the 14th for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. We recently had a GOP primary in the state of New Hampshire. There was a winning candidate and a losing candidate. Very quick exit poll numbers from that primary. Among the voters who voted for the prevailing candidate in the New Hampshire primary, the question was, do you think Biden legitimately won in 2020? 17% said yes, 80% said no, that the voters for the prevailing candidate did not believe that Biden legitimately won. Among the losing candidate's voters, 83% thought that Biden did win legitimately, 15% thought he did not. I rise today only to mark this point in what is going to be a very interesting and dangerous year. The wagons are already circling for the prevailing candidate in the New Hampshire primary, and my ask of my colleagues is that as you play with fire this year, that you do so mindfully. That's my request. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to rise on appointed personal privilege? You have before you a consent calendar of privilege resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? Recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 338 be engrossed at this time.
Senator, majority leader has moved that 338 be engrossed. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 338, a bill by Senator Settlers of the 37th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the election of members to the Board of Education of Cobb County and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The majority leader has moved that Senate Bill 338 be engrossed. Is there objection? There is objection. You waive, you want to speak to it? Okay. All right. All those in favor of the any other senator wish to speak? You waive, Senator? Okay. All those in favor of the motion will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 29 and the nays are 16, and the motion has prevailed. Senator from the 40th, what purpose do you rise?
I would like, Mr. President, to ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 55th.
The 55th, without objection, Senator from the 55th is excused. All right, now we're on to the rules calendar. SR 344. Secretary, read the caption.
The Senate Committee on Rules offers the following substitute to Senate Resolution 344. A resolution commending the benefits and contributions of purebred dogs and recognizing May 1st, 2024 as Purebred Dog Day in the state of Georgia and for other purposes. Whereas dedicated individuals in Georgia breed dogs to develop unique, predictable characteristics that enable dogs to excel in a wide range of beneficial areas, and whereas purebred dogs are living legacies of the cultures that created them, and historically, these dogs worked alongside their people and provided them companionship. And whereas the service of these breeds continues as they work alongside humans and provide inestimable companionship as guide dogs, service dogs, conservation dogs, livestock guardians, search and rescue dogs, earth dogs, police dogs, canine soldiers serving by the sides of our military men and women, and guardians of the family, home, and hearth, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Rules recommends that this resolution do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brass of the 28th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 45th. Speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate colleagues, I bring SR 344 before you today. It's a resolution commending the benefits and the contributions of purebred dogs and recognizing May 1st, 2024 as Purebred Dog Day. With that, Mr. President, I'd be happy to answer any questions or will yield well.
You do have a question, Senators. Recognize Senator from the 2nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator, can you explain to me on line 10 the intent by referring to police dogs instead of canine officers? I'm sure myself and the senator from the 29th would agree that police dogs are actually canine officers. They're actually officers in law enforcement. But then you said canine soldiers. Any reason why you drew the distinction between the two, police dogs and canine soldiers?
No, just a reference there, but do agree with your reference on them being officers. Thank you for that comment.
Recognize the senator from the 29th.
Does the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator, is it not true that in the law enforcement community there are canine officers and there are dogs?
That is true.
Senator Furthergill?
Yes, sir.
Senator, can you tell me what an earth dog is?
Actually, Senator, surprisingly, I can. An earth dog is any dog that digs into the earth and would bring up a gopher or a squirrel or any kind of rodent or animal that lives in the earth.
Senator, you are a true dog man. Thank you.
Thank you. Go dogs.
You do have one more question, Senator. Senator from the 32nd.
Senator, do you yield for another question?
Yes, I do.
Isn't it true that the adoptable dog is the state dog of Georgia?
The senator knows of what she speaks.
And isn't it also true that this bill doesn't do anything to disparage that bill that we passed previously, making the adoptable dog the state dog of Georgia?
That is correct, my friend from the 32nd.
Thank you.
You have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator.
President. I yield well.
Does any other senator wish to rise to speak on behalf of the canines all over the state? Chair hears none. But you did, Senator, forget to mention that UGA lost their mascot. Their beloved bulldog yesterday. So hate to hear that. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the resolution by substitute. All those in favor of the resolution vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution by substitute, the yeas are 48 and the nays are 1. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted by substitute. Senator from the 41st, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, President. Motion to excuse the senator from the 36th.
Without objection, Senator from 36 is excused. Senate Bill 338. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 338, a bill by Senator Settler of the 37th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the election of members of the Board of Education of Cobb County, so as to change the description of the education districts of such board, to provide for definitions and inclusions, to provide for continuation in office of current members, to provide for the manner of election, to provide an effective date, to repeal a specific act, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President. Additionally, a minority report has been filed. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 37th to speak to the bill.
Mr. President, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. Proud to bring before you today Senate Bill 338. Senate Bill 338 is a bill that creates an apportionment plan for the Cobb County Board of Education. This legislature passed in 2022 a plan, House Bill 1028, signed into law by the governor. That plan, after a series of legal actions by some opponents to the plan, was struck down by a federal district judge on the 14th of December of 2023. In that judge's order, Judge Eleanor Ross of the Northern District of Georgia gave this legislature a January 10th deadline to fully enact a map. As we know, procedurally, that's not possible in our legislative process. But she did send an important message that we needed to act upon this promptly. This is not something we can wait around until March to do. There's an election coming up in May, and as we know, election officials need to have time to put things in place, organize all the data to make this an effective, organized election. That order was later rescinded to give us a deadline of January 22nd. Also, procedurally, very, very difficult to make happen as a legislature. And on the 19th of this month, that was enjoined by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in an appellate motion, eliminating that January 22nd deadline, but still recognizing we, the legislature, have to act on this issue and put a plan in place for the Cobb County Board of Election in a timely way, which is why we have this before us today. Senate Bill 338, again, is a work of a very thoughtful process. It was enacted in a way that is consistent with reapportionment principles and following the specifics of Judge Ross's order. In this process, we had meetings among Cobb legislators, the 8th and 9th of January this year. The first 2 days of session, we had 2 meetings, open meetings, in a bipartisan group among our Cobb legislators to discuss the issue. And what you see before you is the product of thoughtful work to address the provisions of the judge's order and the reapportionment principles of compactness, core retention, minimizing split precincts, thoughtful of things such as communities of interest and census-defined areas, and it's a map that I think we can all be very proud of. From whatever background you come from in Cobb County, if you look at the plan and understand the core communities this represents, this is something that makes lots of sense. One of those examples, you talk about things such as split precincts. You know, as a county the size of Cobb, it takes split precincts to draw a plan that meets the tolerances. The deviation in this plan is less than 1%, so the deviations are very strong. And it, as we're required by the Voting Rights Act, it maintains District 3, which is a minority black school board district it maintains. District 3 is a majority black district under the Voting Rights Act. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it's a solid plan. I commit it to your support.
Senator has yielded the well. Senator from the 6th, would you like to speak it to the measure?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I stand in opposition of SB 338. This map and proposal in the bill violates the clear command of the federal court order that was issued late last year and does not remedy the identified violations of the Voting Rights Act or the federal Constitution. This bill continues the packing of black and brown voters in Cobb County, particularly on the south side of the county, limiting their influence and increasing the influence of the 4 northern districts. SB 338 also did not follow the local legislative process, which would have allowed for more input, more voice from the Cobb delegation, both on the Senate side and the House side, in the drawing of this map. For these reasons, we believe that this map should not pass, and we encourage you to vote no against this bill. The federal court found that the 2022 maps moved black and Hispanic voters out of districts 1, 4, 5, and 7. This is not about maintaining districts. This is about ensuring that black and Hispanic voters in Cobb County have a voice and that voters in particular districts have outsized voting power like this map currently proposes. The proposed map in this bill does not adequately restore voting power to black and Hispanic voters that were injured legally by the 2022 maps. Instead, it perpetuates the balance of power these maps created, the empowerment of white voters at the expense of black and Hispanic voters. Further, we could have done something different with this bill. We could have done something different with this map. We could have created it through the typical local legislative process. Most of the Cobb delegation was not consulted in drawing this map and in dropping this bill. This lack of consultation resulted in an irregular splitting of high schools from cities in Cobb County, such as McEachern High School. It resulted in the splitting of the city of Smyrna in an unusual way, and the odd drawing of Walton and Wheeler high school feeder patterns. As a result, this process ignored bipartisan concerns and other issues that were raised during our delegation meetings. Following the local legislative process would have empowered local elected Cobb representatives from both parties in both chambers to solve these problems and create fairer, more logical maps for Cobb County citizens. And most importantly, Cobb County is an extraordinarily diverse county with a diverse group of elected officials that work together for the people and the businesses of Cobb County. It is incumbent on us to work together to give them a representative school board. Unfortunately, this map does not do that. My hope is that moving forward, we work together to draw fair maps that empower all of Cobb County residents, and that we ultimately truly have a representative government at every level of government, both in Cobb and across the state. Thank you, and I yield the well.
The senator has yielded the well. I recognize the senator from the 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to take a moment to commend the senator from the 37th for the extraordinary work that he did with the delegation. We held 2 days of delegation meetings for many, many hours. This went through 2 committee hearings, successfully reported out. I think that the process was very transparent. It was very thoughtful. working together to create something that met the order by the court. And I believe we can all be proud, and I would ask for your favorable consideration for this good work today. Thank you. I yield the will.
Senator has yielded the well. Would any other senator wish to speak on behalf of this bill? We do have a minority report, Senator, which will give you an additional 10 minutes to speak, or you waive those if you want, if you like. The senator has waived. No other senator wishes to speak on the measure. Senator from the 37th, you have the opportunity to close debate if you waive too. Okay. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 32, the nays are 19. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize Senator from the 37th. For what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to immediately transmit Senate Bill 338 to the House.
Senator has made a motion to have this bill immediately transferred. Is there objection? There is objection. We will put it on the board here. All those in favor of the motion will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, you had to have 2/3 for the motion to prevail, and on the motion, the yeas are 32 and the nays are 19, so the motion has failed. SR 323. Recognize the Secretary to read the caption.
Senate Resolution 323, a resolution by Senator Jones of the 22nd and others, a resolution creating the Senate Study Committee on Improving Family Caregiver Services and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules recommends that this do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brass of the 28th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from the 22nd to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, many Georgians will have a loved one who will be leaving the hospital, rehabilitation facility, facing long-term or permanent health care needs. Those Georgians will represent all races, religion, income strata, some with insurance, some without insurance, but all will face a similar question. Do I quit my job to take care of my loved one? 61% of people who do caregiving services actually are employed. Will my employee work with me on my work hours? Do I put my loved one in a nursing home? Who will help me get the medication? For older Georgians, the question will actually be, who will even help me remember to give medication to my loved one? My bathroom is not accessible. Should I take a loan out to pay for services? What's the cost-benefit analysis between a large loan and possibly just a couple more years of life? Those questions will be faced by many Georgians today as they leave these facilities. Those questions and many more. Because what they don't realize as they leave today, they are now actually becoming an untrained, overwhelmed, worried, unpaid, some facing loss of income, integral part of our health care system. Quite frankly, they are now part of the health care system by being a health care worker. So caregiving is, to some extent, love and kindness of your loved one, but more importantly, it is actually becoming a health care worker. Over $60 billion nationally is spent on caregiving services as far as health services are concerned. So this study committee is designed to see if this legislation continue to move forward on Family Caregiver Bill of Rights and other measures and help the hundreds of Georgia's families that today, although they don't realize it, will be thrust into the caregiver services, but basically in providing in-home health care and become a underpaid, income loss, worried health care worker. And with that, Mr. President, I'll take any questions.
You do have a few questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Senator, no, you do have a couple questions, Senator. I recognize the senator from 36.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the author of the resolution, I applaud this and think it's way past time that we took a closer look at this. And I know isn't it true that in your own family, back home in Augusta, your family has seen the burden that's carried by caregivers as aging parents decline in their health and their capacity. This is not something that you're a stranger to. Isn't that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Having been there and kind of experience, I realize all the difficulties a person is going to have to go through. And the question is, how can we help people navigate this complicated system, quite frankly? And many times a title will allow you to navigate it, but for those who don't have it, it's going to be very difficult as they leave those facilities today, what they're going to be facing.
And further question, isn't it true that probably a good percentage of the population in these seats here in the Senate, myself and our colleagues, have had some experience with what you're describing here and the purpose of the intentions of the study committee. We're not strangers to this, and I just want to applaud you and urge support and hope that this committee becomes a reality, that we've got work to do on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Senator has yield. Does any other senator wish to speak on behalf of this bill, resolution? Chair hears none. Is there objections to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, committee substitute is adopted. Is there objections to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the resolution by substitute. All those in favor of the resolution will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution by substitute, the yeas are 48 and the nays are 1. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted by substitute. Recognize the majority leader.
Thank you, sir. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Thursday, January 25th.
Secretary read, the majority leader has moved. Secretary, read the announcements, please.
The Rules Committee will meet immediately upon adjournment today in room 450. The Public Safety Committee will meet at 1 o'clock p.m. today in room 450. The Higher Education Committee will meet in 307 of the CLOB at 2 p.m. The Insurance and Labor Committee will meet in Mez 1 at 2 p.m. The Health and Human Services Committee will meet in 450 at 3 p.m. The Finance Committee will meet in Mez 1 at 4 o'clock today. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 41st for an announcement.
Good morning, colleagues. In case you haven't noticed, the Blood Mobile is here today. If you gave during special session, it is exactly the required amount of time since, so you can give again today. I hope you'll join me and others in giving blood to save a life, or many lives today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Anybody else have any announcements? The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. January 25th, tomorrow morning. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The ayes clearly have it. Y'all have a good day.